This is the Conduit. Tonight we will be broadcasting the Olympic College Board meeting, October 18, 2022. They should get going here in just a second. So we will stay tuned. All right, like I said, they should be getting going momentarily. Couple programming notes. Bremerton City Council meeting tomorrow. Please consider attending in person and making your voice heard. Very, very important tomorrow. I'm also going to go ahead and post in here the information for the workshops and the budget workshops in case you want to get involved in those. And again, City Council meeting is tomorrow. We will be broadcasting that live. We'll have folks that will be at City Council, so we hope that you will be there. And as I said, make your voice heard. All right, looks like they should be.
We begin tonight's
There we
meeting.
go.
I want to acknowledge our decision to return to a hybrid format for our regular board meetings. We appreciate the feedback received from the college community, and we are committed to being accessible to the public. Our intent in this decision to return to in-person meetings was that we felt in-person meetings allowed us better to establish and grow relationships with individuals in the campus community at large. The board will continue the conversation of our meeting format and how best to conduct the business of the board. So thank you. We do not have a study session tonight. However, Trustee Ekman has requested the opportunity to address the room prior to moving through tonight's communication items. Trustee Ekman, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you, Chair Miller. So, good afternoon. President Gavaluzzi asked me to take a few moments of today's, to start today's meeting to clarify some statements I made at our last board meeting. I told him I'd be happy to do that, but at the same time, I wanted to do something I've not done before, and that is to introduce myself to Olympic College. So I'd like to take a few minutes to describe my background and career, and maybe help you understand my approach to serving as a trustee and why I ask so many questions. Going way back, I was born in San Francisco, fourth generation native, and I grew up on the San Francisco Peninsula. Attended public schools and had the good fortune to live in a district that offered advanced placement classes, which I enrolled in all through elementary and high school. Because of these classes and the support of teachers, there was never any question that I would move on to college. I enrolled in the University of California, Berkeley, with the intention of becoming a math teacher. That didn't actually work out. But my parents weren't wealthy, but they earned enough that I didn't qualify for most financial aid programs at that time. So with only a little help from the parents, I paid for my education with part-time work and student loans. At that time, tuition at state institutions in California was low, and housing was relatively cheap and available. So I was able to earn a bachelor's and a master's degree in the double major of industrial engineering and operations research. But the experience gave me a deep appreciation for what it takes to get through school with little or no financial aid. It wasn't easy then, but sadly, the cost of higher education today makes it nearly impossible for a student to get through school the way I did. Thankfully, there was a cap on student loans, only $2,000 a year. So my debt at graduation was over $10,000. I can't imagine how my life would have been different had that debt been in the six figures. So I had a deep passion for doing everything possible to reduce the cost of college education and to make sure support systems are available to help students get food and housing. Since graduation, I've done a lot of things. For 20 years or more, I worked in management consulting and helped companies solve big business problems. I completed projects for dozens of companies and often pinched myself at how fortunate I was while still in my late 20s to be making important presentations to the boards of directors of major US companies. While I found consulting to be very exhilarating and challenging, it was also very wearing. I was constantly on the road and saw little of friends and family. Twice I quit to take what I call real jobs as the chief operations executive of a early stage technology company. These positions presented new challenges, and so I couldn't now just focus on strategy and technical issues. I also had to manage an organization and navigate politics. But after a few years in each job, I decided I needed something new. I had been working with many entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley at that point, and one day it occurred to me, these guys really weren't any smarter than I was. So maybe I should start my own company. So that's what I did. Consumer electronics retailing business. I wrote a business plan, recruited a team, and raised money from investors. The experience was very exciting and a spectacular failure. I came to refer to it as my PhD in the humilities. I vowed never to do that again, but that didn't last long. 2 years later, I teamed with a couple of engineers to develop computer programming tools for the education market. This turned out a little differently. Apple Computer took note of our work and bought the company to expand their educational software. By now, I had a pretty good reputation and a unique set of experiences as a consultant, an operating executive, and an entrepreneur. I was recruited by KPMG to lead a small practice focused on leading turnarounds for technology-based companies. Our clients were typically venture capital funded companies that had, for various reasons, lost their way. My job was to get them back on track, sell them, or shut them down. Again, the work was exhilarating, but too often involved flying out on a Sunday afternoon and returning home late Friday night. Not a sustainable lifestyle. After leading a couple more local startups, I decided it was time to retire. By this time, I had developed many ties with the Center for Entrepreneurship at the University of Washington and was a frequent guest lecturer. When they heard that I was done starting companies, they invited me to teach an introductory class in entrepreneurship. That went okay, so they asked me to try a couple of additional classes, and then to create a new class focused on UW's successful business plan competitions. This new class drew students from outside the business school, from sciences, engineering, law, public policy, international relations, and others, and introduced them to the basic principles of starting a new company. This experience was very rewarding, and other than the adjunct faculty pay. And I'm proud to say the entrepreneurship program at UW has led to the formation of dozens of companies. And after 10 years of teaching, I decided it was time to retire again. My wife and I moved to Bainbridge Island to work in the yard and lend our expertise to local nonprofit organizations. I became the board president of Fishline in Paulsville, and over the next 4 years led the effort to raise $4 million and build a new food bank and comprehensive services building in Paulsville. With the services center, we pioneered a new business model where we invited social service agencies to take up residents at Fishline rent-free and provide services for our North County clients. Peninsula Community Health Services was the first to move in, building out a dental clinic for low-income clients. Today, there's also mental health counseling, legal aid, immigrant assistance, veteran assistance, and many other services available on-site at Fishline. Which brings me to my current position as the trustee at Olympic College. I pursued a seat on the board with 3 goals. I wanted to expand the availability of classes at OC Paulsville. I wanted to establish a vibrant entrepreneurship program here at OC. And I wanted to ensure the housing, financial, and other support needs of OC students were adequately met. But as often the case, events took over my agenda, less than 6 months after joining the board, we had the COVID shutdown, which is curtailed my efforts. Now, enrollment and student achievement and completion is my new mission. Bringing back those students who left and starting and attracting new ones. Realizing that this problem was not unique to OC, I got involved at the state level and now serve on the Washington Board of College Trustees and as the Washington State Coordinator for the National Association of Community College Trustees. Through these positions, I'm able to meet and talk with trustees and presidents across the state and look at issues from beyond the purview of Olympic College. And not surprisingly, there are many divergent views on any particular issue. Which brings me to the first point of clarification regarding my comments at our last meeting. In the course of questioning Teresa Ramos about her presentation on the Running Start program, I related a conversation I'd had with the superintendent of schools in North Kitsap and a Apollo City Council who had raised the issue of equality in the program. The superintendent is not a big fan of Running Start. She contends that fewer than 10% of high school students have the maturity to handle a college environment, and that the program pulls the best and brightest out of the schools, her words. I think I then added something that students tended to be white, which upon study is true. Apparently, this was interpreted by some as me saying the best and brightest students are white. That is not what I said. This was not the first time that I've encountered this view of Running Start, by the way, in conversations. In fact, I've been told that the state superintendent of public instruction has expressed concern about the program. My reason for taking the question, for asking the question, was not to espouse a point of view, but to find out how Teresa addresses the objection. And while we didn't have the time to get into it, I'd like to schedule another study where we're able to dig into other types of programs like dual credit and college and high school, and then address the real and perceived inequities in the Running Start. One final note, though. After the meeting, I asked for and received a report on demographic makeup of OC Running Start program, and was very pleased to see that we're making some great progress on the equity side. In the fall of 2019, 17% of the Running Start cohort were students of color. This fall, the number is 32%, almost double. Congratulations to Teresa and everyone else involved in the program. Which brings me now to the second point of last month's meeting, where I was asked to clarify, which is my comments regarding the work to date of the Faculty Senate. One of the reasons I've gone through this lengthy introduction today is to demonstrate that I have deep experience with companies facing big problems. I know firsthand how painful it is to dismantle an organization that is operating in a financially unsustainable mode. And that's where we find ourselves here at OC. Enrollment is down 30% over the past 2 years and down 40% over the past 10 years. But employment at OC has not shrunk anywhere near that much, which means today we are staffed to handle approximately 1,000 student FTE more than are currently enrolled. The faculty must especially see this with fewer classes and or fewer students in each class. This whole thing is unsustainable. The only reason we've been able to get by this far is due to COVID relief money from the federal government. This looming financial train wreck was evident to the board 2 years ago, which is why we asked the finance department to start reporting college income in 2 categories: earned income and state allocation based on FTEs and tuition versus one-time relief money. We specifically went out of the way at each board meeting to point out those 2 categories of income, earned income. And at our college convening last month, Vice President Ellison took it a step further with a chart showing the budget for the next 3 years. It wasn't pretty. It clearly showed that a substantial increase in revenue or a major cutback in spending is needed to balance the budget for the next fiscal year. At this point, the cutbacks are inevitable, but they can be mitigated by getting some of those lost 1,000 students back in class. But that's what's going to take a major team effort on the part of faculty, staff, students, and the board. In my opinion, we're wasting time. I think the Faculty Senate, our brain trust, needs to step out as a leader in this effort. Faculty are most knowledgeable regarding student needs, opportunities for new programs, and so on. A couple of meetings ago, I asked the leader of the Faculty Senate to bring forward some ideas for addressing the enrollment shortfall. Based on the reporting last month, it seems that request was not taken seriously. Nor does it seem the whole crisis confronting us is taken seriously. In all my experience running these various companies, I've never seen hope or denial work as a strategy. All of us must get serious about addressing the problem. Or, as I also said last meeting, come this time next year, there are going to be a lot fewer people in the seats around us. And on a positive note, I think we can do this, and the board is ready to help in any way we can. We're a policy board, and all of you have to do the hard work. I look forward to working with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Trustee Epman, for those words. I agree with your sentiment expressed about the retention of students and the success of all of the college and all of us working together. Before we introduce the new Olympic College employees tonight, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the significant loss we experienced as a campus community. Dean Amy Hatfield's sudden passing was an incredible loss to Olympic College, our community, and to everyone whose lives she ever touched. I understand Vice President Cockcroft has some prepared remarks.
Thank you, Chair Miller. It's my honor to say a few words about Amy Hatfield. The words I will speak are not mine alone, and I want to thank all who contributed to them, and especially Dr. Mary Garjul, the Vice President of Instruction for most of the time Amy worked at OC, and Dr. Terry Cox, Interim Dean of Workforce and Economic Development at OC, and a longtime community and technical college system colleague of Amy's. For the past 13 years, Amy Hatfield served as Dean of Workforce and Economic Development at Olympic College. Within our state system, these positions are widely regarded to be among the most difficult, and with wide-ranging responsibilities of grants and program development, with levels of complexity most at the college know little about. Amy was good at her job, well suited to it, and deeply passionate about it. By objective measures, such as students served by our workforce grants, our programs and Amy's team perform at some of the highest levels in the state. Amy was not showy about these successes, and I had told her that I sometimes worried many within OC didn't know enough about them, that workforce was a best kept secret or light under a bushel. Amy was all about the work and was a leader in advocating for workforce education initiatives, as well as an ambassador for Olympic College locally, statewide, and nationally. I cannot overstate how well known and well regarded Amy is in Washington State and across the country. She was a powerful voice in the statewide Workforce Education Council and at the national level as a board member for the National Council for Workforce Education. She championed IBEST, career and technical education dual credit, short-term credentials, Bachelor of Applied Science degrees, and many other workforce initiatives and practices. Prior to her time as Dean at OC, Amy worked at the State Board for Community and Technical Colleges as the Workforce Program Administrator, and she was in the private sector in international trade and nonprofit leadership. She also served in the U.S. Army as an intelligence analyst. Amy had a master's degree in international relations and an MBA at Boston University, a BA from Mount Holyoke College, and a certificate in nonprofit management from Duke University. Her studies while in the military included the Tagalog language. I'd like to briefly note some of Amy's accomplishments at OC. Amy was a contributor when the college designed our Bachelor of Science in Nursing degree. This was the college's first bachelor's degree, a significant achievement as we were only one of 4 community college bachelor's programs initially approved by the state. Amy worked with a team that included Drs. Jerry Babo, Judy Brown, and Mary Garjul. Amy was instrumental in the proposal to initiate the college's physical therapy assistant program. She was responsible for implementing the college CTE teacher preparation program, of which we were only one of 7 Washington State providers with the plan to business industry route for career technical education. And the program has been highly successful. Amy was an active and contributing member of the workforce councils in our service areas, including Olympic and Pacific Mountain Workforce Development Councils, serving on a number of committees over the years. Amy strongly believed in partnerships and consortiums, and she collaborated with other college workforce development colleagues to bring the opportunity for OC students to access in-demand programs not available locally. And examples include the very recent aviation technology program launched with Green River, Homeland Security, Pierce, and then polysomnography and pharmacy tech, which were at Highline and Spokane. On a personal note, Amy was on the screening committee that interviewed me and recommended my hire as the director for applied baccalaureate development in 2013. And I've had the opportunity to work with her and the working with her most closely this year as VPI. She was an incredible resource to me and to college, always keeping her finger on the leading edge of workforce education nationwide, with an ability to synthesize seemingly unrelated ideas into coherent strategy. She was wise, compassionate, justice-driven, and generous. On top of that, she was a really great person and a good friend. She is and will be deeply missed. Our thoughts are most with her family and loved ones in this difficult time. And I'd like to note that the college will hold a celebration of life for Amy on Thursday, November 1st at 4 p.m. in Building 10 here at the OC Burlington campus. The OC community is invited to attend, and we will reach out to Amy's colleagues in the community and statewide as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin, for those words. Jean Hatfield will certainly be missed, but it's clear that she had a wonderful influence with everything she did and all the impressive work that she has done. Thank you. We'll move on to communication items. Introduction of new Olympic College employees.
Madam Chair, we have a few new employees to be introduced tonight. Seaman in Berlin.
Thank you. I first want to echo Martin's comments about Amy. Definitely a professional and advocate for all of our students, our faculty, her fellow deans, the college, and a dear friend. I have, on that note, the joy of introducing some new faculty. Amy did work sometimes in helping us hire faculty. She wasn't part of these hires, but she was always supportive whenever we needed her help. And we have 2 new faculty to introduce tonight. One couldn't make it, so it would have been 3. So you'll see me again in November. The first one is Sean McGinty. I don't know if you can pull Sean up here. Sean comes to us from Oregon. He has an MFA in creative writing from the University of Iowa and a BA in English Lit from Grinnell College in Iowa too, I believe. He has experience working right out of college with migrant workers and families through the AmeriCorps program. And he is also, on the other end of the spectrum, an advanced published writer who's eager to share the benefits and skills involved in writing and publishing with his students. He has a very detailed and supportive scaffolding process that he uses in his curriculum and his instruction to the students to ensure that they understand, learn, grow constantly in their writing process. He weaves with his instructions a very gentle and authentic sense of humor that I have found very enjoyable. He has great ideas that he's eager to bring to Olympic College and experience in bringing noted authors to campuses so that students can really see the potential in learning to write. He's very student-centric. His background enables him to serve as a bridge between Olympic College's AB ESL curriculum and the developmental English curriculum, which is one of the weak links that we have that we're trying to grow. He uses in his relationship building and in his instruction conversations, both to help instruct as well as to resolve differences. He's a dedicated advocate to students, and I heard this over and over when I was talking to his references. He's careful to engage all of his students without calling out any. He weaves culture into his instruction to help celebrate the diversity and allows students to lead through their own cultural explorations. He's very experienced in teaching in person, asynchronous, synchronous, and hybrid. He already employs a labor-based grading system that aligns with the ACI that Olympic College is beginning to get involved with. And I wanted to share two more things. One was a feeling that we had as a committee when we were hiring him that was shared with one of his references, or shared by one of his references. And that was his ability to make students, and others, by the way, immediately feel at ease, especially in his developmental classes. And those are very stressful for students. They're very worried about succeeding. And the other quote this is from a person who was a reference for him and had served at the college level for 23 years. And she said, the level of care he has for individual students is unmatched in anything she has seen in her work in higher ed. So with that, I want to say how much we are excited to have Sean on our team. He's already hit the ground running, and welcome, Sean McGinty.
Sean here.
Sean is there, you can say a few words.
Well, thank you for that introduction. That was just lovely. Becky, and I don't think I could follow that, but I taught for 8 years in Portland, Oregon at Mount Hood Community College. And when one of my I moved up here, and I'm not in the meeting today. I have 2 small children and a work from home wife. So I just felt like I had to come help her survive with our 4-year-old running around. But I worked at Mount Hood Community College for 8 years previous to moving here. And when one of my colleagues heard I was moving to Olympic, they just talked about what an amazing school it was. And I had seen the facilities, which are incredible. I don't know if you all know that, just having taught other places. But then having met the people in the community, I just have to say it's a lovely, just a wonderful place. And you're a real treasure to the community, and it's an honor to work for you all. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Sean. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, we want to welcome you to Olympic College.
Okay, and I have one other faculty to introduce this evening. Our next faculty is not new to Olympic College. She's actually been here. I want to say I hired her in 2016 or something like that, 2018, as an adjunct faculty in our art program. And she, along with Sean and our other faculty who I'll introduce next month, are part of the initiatives pushed forth by the state for us to basically make sure that we're having more and more full-time faculty so that we're rewarding our adjuncts who have served us so well. So this person is Susan Ogilvy. She, until the end of the summer, was serving as the Director of Education and adjunct faculty at Northwest College of Art and Design and an art adjunct at Olympic College. She has an MA in Art History and an MFA in Traditional Illustration from the Academy of Art University. She also has a BFA in Fine Art at Northwest College of Art and Design. She recently finished the application process at Northwest College of Art and Design for introducing a new BFA program in animation and design. And we're bringing her on board to help us in our design area of art. She's very knowledgeable about the greater community of Kitsap County and its surroundings, including museums and artistic communities in the region. She's dedicated to participating not only in the Bremerton community, but involving Olympic College in Paulsbo and the Paulsbo artistic community. She has experience teaching in-person, online, hybrid, as well as she's completed 2 graduate degrees in an online format. So she knows what it's like to be a student in that venue. She is an experienced painter and illustrator. In fact, she was just able to open up her own little art studio up in Paulsbo recently. She has a very strong art history background and effectively uses that in her best practices of teaching art history. She's very knowledgeable and skilled in painting, drawing, illustrating. She has a strong portfolio. She connects exceedingly well with students at OC and elsewhere. She's very student-centric in her instructional style and is very engaging with her students. She weaves student career opportunities and interest into instruction and in her advising of students. And she is constantly bringing forth the potential experience and ideas of art careers into her instruction with her students. She has amazing compassion for students, their learning, and opening options for them in their future careers. She has experience working with other groups in our community, like the Suquamish Tribe, in education and art. Recently, she facilitated a sculpture experience with the GEMS program in Bremerton. And she also oversees internships for students in art within the local community. We are really excited to have Susan's artistic skills, her care for students, and her connections with the community here at Olympic College in our art program. So welcome, Susan.
Thank you so much. What a warm welcome. I appreciated that so much. And as Becky said, I have had the great joy of being an adjunct at Olympic for this last 4 years. It was 2018. And I am just so excited to be joining the faculty in the art department. And as Becky said, I want to bring everything that I have passion in for these students and to help build the program and to support these students, because art is business. It is a wonderful field. And for those students who are just partaking of the art program, it just so enriches lives. And so I thank you for this warm welcome and the opportunity. And I'm very proud to be part of OC.
Thank you, Susan. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, we want to welcome you to OC.
That is all the new way introductions.
Move on to the report of the Board of Trustees. Do the trustees have anything to report? I have nothing. Communication from the public, Adam.
We do have one communication from the public tonight, and that's about more.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, fine. I'm going to read the letter that I would have had somebody else read, but since you have put Zoom back on the menu, I could give it to you in person. I don't know if that sounded right, but anyway. I would have liked to have delivered this to you myself, but I'm unable to do so since you removed my only way to communicate with you directly, which is via Zoom. So I thank my friend for standing in for me. Your decision not to utilize the hybrid communication system you have previously used in conducting your Board of Trustee meetings is indefensible. It shows a lack of support for those who cannot physically attend your meetings. OC has the has the technology to do a hybrid meeting, so why not use it? Is it because it is not convenient for you to do so? Is it because you have to make some accommodations that you are not comfortable in doing? Are you saying you are not willing to make an extra effort to engage with people who are not able to physically do the same things you can do? Prior to COVID, people could not envision having the ability to do so many things virtually that they do now. Why is the Board of Trustees retreating to past practice? If you really believed in diversity, you would not be doing this. I hope that the November meeting at OC will go back to how things have been conducted during COVID. This would show that OC understands diversity in all its forms and does not support discrimination. If you'd like to discuss it with me, please feel free to send me a Zoom link for a mutually agreed upon time. I know that I shared a piece of a final bill report from Olympia, which talked about this particular issue and said that if you are going to give people in person the opportunity to comment, you must do the same for those who cannot physically do that. For me personally, I can't physically make it there. So you have would have shut me out entirely. And I don't appreciate that. I'm somebody obviously who speaks my mind when I think I need to do so. I also have heard from a number of people just who know me saying thank you for raising this issue and making sure that OC does pay attention to these things. I don't know why it even had to be a question, but it clearly was something you didn't consider paying attention to diversity and accommodating others. And I will say, being where I am right now, I have a greater appreciation for those challenges. There are things OC still needs to do, like making the doors automatic. I mean, I've always admired John Babo's ability to get into the classrooms by, pulling the door and zooming his chair through. I don't know that I would have the strength, the ability to do that. He shouldn't have to do that. There should be automatic buttons on all the doors in all the buildings. But anyway, I won't go any further. I just wanted to say thank you, though, for going back to the hybrid meetings. So, because I know it's not just people like myself who are disabled, but also those who have other family issues, work issues. It's more than that. So I thank you. That's it.
Thank you for your comments. Is there any more?
Madam Chair, there is no more public comments.
Thank you, Adam. We will now move to the reports to the board portion of our agenda. Student governance, government of Olympic College Board report.
Madam Chair, we have Mr. Brett Palmer. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Brett Bollinger. I'm the SGOC president, and I'm glad to be here for this time. So some updates from the prior report. To start off with the SGOC town hall. On September 21st, SGOC hosted our first town hall. During the event, we were sworn in as a group, detailed our goals for the year, and were able to answer some questions from the audience. To expand on that, the questions that were asked were very valuable, and we gained a lot of important information from that, and we've learned and added on to our goals based on those questions. Next thing, student senate. So over the few weeks, we have been in search for student senate positions. We began interviews for some of those positions on the 11th of October. We maintain the same pace. We will have all our positions filled by the beginning of November. So far, we have chosen a senator for Saga as well as Running Start. So we are making great progress on that. Voter awareness events. So currently, SGOC is working to push voter awareness on campus, educate students. We have been able to get in contact with members of the 23rd and 6th districts. On Monday, we had candidate Janelle Hurst and Paige Jarklin of the 23rd district come, and they talked to some students, answered some questions also tabled, and it was, we also gained some very valuable information as well as hope the students did as well. And then to further expand on that, recently, I've been talking to Katie Crabtree, who works for Congressman Kilmer, and we're looking to try to have him here on the 27th of this month. So we're excited for that. And then tomorrow, we're going to have the League of Women's Voters tabling, so that will be exciting as well. The food drive. So on the 11th of October, the SGOC food drive began. We were able to place boxes around campus and are hopeful that we'll receive a large and diverse amount of food. Every day I go and check these boxes, and it seems like they're filling up, which is a good thing. And it ends the 24th of November. So we hope that we get a lot more donations as well. Okay, so the Elevate Our Voices event on the 10th of October, SGOC was fortunate enough to work with Dr. Straya as well as Multicultural and Other faculty and staff do co-facilitate breakout rooms during the Elevate Our Voices event. The event was powerful, educational, and helped us as a team pinpoint some issues that students face daily. The information obtained from the event will help us improve the experience of students substantially. Kind of side note on that, Valerie St. Pierre Hodge had a very powerful speech in the beginning, and I think that steered the conversation in the breakout rooms as well as us as a team in a very good direction. Club Congress. So we had our first Club Congress meeting on October 11th. Clubs are in the process of selecting new officers for the year. We will have our next Club Congress meeting on the 8th of November, and our club fair will be on the 16th of November as well. Both Engineering Club and Clay Club should be scheduling their meeting with SGOC to charter their clubs. And then the last thing, the budget update. SGOC was recently notified of discrepancy in the reserves account due to the pandemic and the conversion to CTC link. Accounts were not reconciled as anticipated. Any questions?
What's that last item mean?
So unfortunately, I can't elaborate on that. We're kind of in the new discovery, the beginning of the discovery process of that. So I don't have any more information than that, but yeah.
Okay, but you'll get back to us?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely. Yeah.
And just one other question about the food bank.
Yes.
Do you have relationships with the local food banks for food?
So Alex Capek, who's our food pantry assistant and office assistant, she has, I couldn't name the specific ones, but I know she's making relations with some food banks around Kitsap County. So
I'm plugging for Fishline again.
I think she's she's in talks or already has a relationship with Fishline.
If you have any, need any other contact with the food bank, just let me know.
Okay.
Get you the contact for that.
Sweet.
Thank you, Brett. And I was also going to say, I have some options for you to get some grants to help the food bank. I can send you an email if you'd like.
I love that.
Okay.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Great, good job.
Yeah, thank you and keep up the good work.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Washington Public Employees Association Board Report.
Madam Chair, I was informed by the shop stewards that there is no report.
Thank you, Adam. Association of Higher Education Board Report.
So we have Craig Goodman with us this evening. He's no longer with us. He did not designate someone to speak on his behalf.
Okay. Thank you, Adam. Faculty Senate report.
Faculty Senate has chosen not to make a report tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. The combined administrative report to the Board of Trustees. President Cavaluzzi, do you have anything additional to report?
I do, Madam Chair. It's been a wild few weeks involving Western Washington University, Peninsula College, and Olympic College. So today, I'd like to give you an update on Western Washington, OSPI, which is the Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction, and Western Washington University, Olympic College, and Peninsula College partnership. So first, a little background. There's a new order in higher education, or at least an attempt for a new order. Universities historically receive 30 to 40% of their incoming students from community and technical colleges. However, with changes in demographics in K through 12, community colleges are expected to be flat through 2025. If you look at the logic for the universities, follows that if it's a 2+2 relationship, then they can expect flatter enrollments or transfer from community colleges through 2027. Of course, it's not really playing out like that because enrollment universities like Western Washington University, UW, with record numbers. So they're going up, but nonetheless, that was the logic. Then we have OSPI, again, the Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction, which is Chris Rako, who's a superintendent of that. He's a huge proponent of college and high school, which is good. He points to the fact that not all students are ready for Running Start, and historically, though, and there hasn't been a lot of diversity in the Running Start program. But again, you heard Trustee Ekman today point to the data that doesn't show that's true for Olympic College. So, and our Running Start program continues to grow, which is really good. Recently, Chris Reichel had a media event where he made a legislative ask to eliminate costs for students taking dual credit options, such as career technical education, international baccalaureate program, college and high school, running start, advanced placement courses. All of those, he wants those to be free, which is admirable. So we'll see where that goes. Chris has been a fan of college and high school for many years. We've historically had issues with college and high school all around accreditation, around credentials of teachers that they use, and that's usually what comes up. That said, that's still one of the options that are available to high school students, and there's a way to address that. So you couple those two things up above, you get a renewed interest in college and high school, but this time partnering with universities. So Olympic College could do college and high school. We are expanding to try to do that. But Central Washington University has long been a player, a driving force in college and high school. The UW has their high school program when they're teaching college and high school in about 100 high schools in Washington. And so there are also 2 out-of-state universities that offer college and high school. Chris Reichel is interested in increasing the number of MOUs with universities to do that. And we also know that Western Washington University now wants to get in the game and actually officially said they're exploring college and high school on the peninsulas, both Kitsap and Olympic Peninsula. So if they are successful in doing that, coupled with dual admission, so UW actually does dual admission with Tacoma. We do dual admission with Western Washington, actually in Paulsboro. But if Western Washington was successful in doing college and high school coupled with dual admission, they actually would bypass community colleges and those students would go right in. And that's an option too. It's just something for us to be aware of. In addition, Western Washington was off, and they still are interested, well, not as much, as offering 4-year degrees on the peninsulas, all 4 years, including first 2 that we did. So to cut out all the busy work and sit here for an hour and tell you all the details, there have been a lot of phone calls, in-person conversations with the president of Western Washington, the president of Peninsula College, our legislators, the state board, and a lot of other people, just to keep things grounded what we need to do and not lose any ground here. So some of the action items coming from meetings with Western Washington University, I just want to let you know what they're interested in doing. So they really desire an expanded 2+2 presence on the peninsulas. They're looking at 3 new degree programs they want to offer. One of them is industrial engineering. So they want to build on our success with Washington State University. We have electrical and mechanical. They want to offer a sociology/counseling program, which would then go into their master's degree. And they haven't decided what the other degree is going to be, but they're looking at healthcare and maybe IT. For physical space, they want to use continued use of space in Paulsboro, at OC Paulsboro, and maybe somewhere else in Bremerton. And then so right now there's enough space to deal with all that. They are looking at expanded outreach to for the pipeline for OC and Peninsula colleges to Western Washington. So to that end, they're going to hire some outreach people and advisors with existing students at OC and Peninsula College to help them transfer to their program. That's a good thing. And then there's a new press and media strategy to they want to launch and announce this to be 2+2 partnership. So that's going to happen through meetings with Rotary clubs, a joint Kitsap Sun editorial board appearance between the president of Western Washington and me and some other things around that. In addition, Susie Ames, the president of Peninsula College, and I met with Presidents Sababer and Howell of Western Washington to have a heart-to-heart conversation about the goals, the needs of each institution, workforce and educational needs of the peninsula, our partnership, and other important topics. And one outcome of that meeting was talking points that all 3 institutions will use when we're talking to community members and legislators and others. So the goal here is to strengthen our partnerships and basically do no harm to one another. And we have more work to do in that, but see, these are some of the talking points that I'll just share with you. The first one is there will be a gradual increase in Western's presence on the Kitsap and Olympic peninsulas over the next 8 to 10 years, with the goal of working with Olympic College and Peninsula College to serve the educational and workforce needs of the region. The second talking point is there will be a limited Western-only brick-and-mortar presence at Western Washington University on the peninsulas, and Western Washington will continue to partner with OC and Peninsula College to use their facilities for program delivery. In the future, Western Washington and OC may explore joint capital projects in Ballsville. Third bullet, it's a 2+2 partnership will be at the forefront of the Western on the Peninsula's instructional programming in collaboration with Olympic College and Peninsula College, including the guaranteed admissions program and a commitment to robust student services in partnership with OC and PC. The fourth bullet, with the goal of expanding post-secondary education in the region, Western Washington will participate in the development of collaborative pathways in partnership with OC and PC, including Western Washington offering limited lower division courses that complement and are additive to community college offerings and serve regional post-secondary needs. We are still exploring what that means because we are set on, they are not offering what we offer. So it has to be something new, and I don't know what that means. And the last bullet, Western Washington commits to an on-site presence with employees housed in Kitsap and Clallam counties to create strong ties in the community. Again, it was a long, twisted road to get to these bullet points, but I'm glad we got there. It's going to solidify our partnership. It's nice to have it in writing, so everyone's held accountable for that. Again, OC is looking at exploring college and high school and college at the high school, which is, I think, a better way to go, which is just, it's our faculty physically teaching in the high school. So it's just moving where they're teaching. It's that takes care of all the accreditation issues, and it just has to be after hours once the high school is clear out. There's some models out in the state that already do that, so hoping to do that. Next month, I'd like to share with the board some other partnerships that we're exploring to better serve our communities. Thank you.
Thank you, President Cavaluzzi. Are there any questions?
I would just like to add on to what the President Cavaluzzi said. You know, in my earlier discussion about the bringing students back to OC, here is yet one more competitor because Western has made no kidding around that they're going to establish a 4-year college on the peninsula here. Yeah, they're not outposts, you know, but actually have a physical presence. Somebody can enroll in them 4 years without the cost of the sound. So, and they're zone funding.
Yes, but that's what this was about. This rolled that back, actually.
Did it?
Yes, it did.
Yeah. I don't believe it. Okay.
Mr. Cockroft, do you have anything additional to report?
I don't.
Are there any questions for him for the report? Mr. Estrella, do you have anything additional to report?
Yes, very brief, please. So, Madam Chair, Board of Trustees, good evening. I just want to take the time to recognize a couple of areas for their hard work and commitment for an event for last week. So last week, collaborative efforts were made to conduct student listening and feedback sessions as part of OC's campus climate assessment. And special recognition is deserved by student government of Olympic College, multicultural services, counseling services, student club leaders, international education, and the director of outreach and the Walker Center. It really is because of these efforts that those sessions and focus groups were held last week. I just wanted to make sure that we give recognition where it's deserved. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ray. Great job to everybody who made it a success. Ms. Kaiser, do you have anything additional to report?
I do not. Thank you.
Thank you. Trying to find it. Do the trustees have any questions regarding information technology? No. Mr. Ross, do you have anything additional to report?
Thank you, trustees. Thank you, President Cavaluzzi. Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who attended the community luncheon last week. I think it turned out to be a success. We raised approximately $81,000. And so I'm very happy about that. And I also want to say that I will deeply miss Amy, and that was heartbreaking to have that happen on the same day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. Any questions? Dr. Tada, do you have anything additional to report?
Dr. Cocker, for vote this evening.
Okay,
I do not this evening. Thank you very much.
thank you, Dr. Tada. Mr. Ellison, anything additional to report?
I do not. Thank you very much.
Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Ellison. Mr. Masters, do you have anything additional to report? Any questions? Report. Thank you, Josh. Mr. Morris, anything additional to report?
I do not.
Thank you, Adam. Mr. Devine.
Just a real quick update on the one thing I've been working on for the last 14 months. I've actually been working on other things, but I shared some information with the college that we delayed the launch of the website to November 9th. And we don't anticipate any further delays. We're feeling very, very confident. 95% of the website content is now done and ready to go. Our search vendor needed a little more time, as did we, to get everything into place. We're feeling really good about the site. We did a focus group with student government earlier this week to look at some of our menu structure and the decisions we made, and got lots of great feedback and input from them, and a favorable review on the work that we've done. We're committed to creating a student-centric, equity-focused, intuitive, engaging user experience for prospective and new students and their families. So November 9th, we've already started our rollout plan, starting with a focus group. We'll hold a campus forum online where we can take folks through the website. We're planning for day before and day of launch. We'll have a 24/7 Zoom window open in case there's any technical issues or catastrophic failures. We have a fallback plan with the current site, which will be available from an alias URL. So just about ready to get this thing launched.
That's great news.
It is exciting.
Thank you for all your hard work on that, Sean.
Yeah, Sean, can you let us know about the recognition that you guys are seeing?
Oh, are you the one you were in my office earlier? Well, Frankie having come on board during the pandemic hasn't gotten to come to a lot of the different areas of the college. So he stopped by for a portrait today, and I took that opportunity to show off some of the hardware my office had collected in the past for digital advertising. So we're a member of the NCMPR, National Council for Marketing and Public Relations for Community Colleges. And in 2019, we won the Paragon Gold Medal nationally for digital advertising, and we got a bronze previously, and another one for writing. In terms of the website, the vendor, they're very excited about the site. They feel good about it, so they want to go out to see if we can bring home some more hardware for the college. So I'll keep y'all posted on that once we get it launched.
And congratulations. Thanks, Sean. We will move into the consent items. Approval of the draft minutes for the September 20th, 2022 regular Board of Trustees meeting. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve with that. September 20th, ready for board meeting. I'll second it.
A motion has been made and seconded to approve the draft minutes of the September 20th, 2022 regular Board of Trustees meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Our information from action items. Our first one is the yearly events calendar, October 2022. Adam?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd just like to highlight a couple events coming up with the Board of Trustees, specifically the ACCT Leadership Congress, take place at the end of the month. For those trustees attending that, will be getting their travel paperwork this week. Also, please let me know if you're interested in attending the ACT Fall Congress, including the ACT Legislative Action Committee Retreat, which will take place on November 17th and 18th. Any questions regarding the events?
I have none. Thank you, Evan. Our next information item is the budget update for the month ending August 2022. Mr. Ellison.
Thank you, Chair Miller. Good evening, members of the Board of Trustees. I'd like to take this opportunity to provide the board with an update on the current financial status for the college for the month ending August 2022. I will begin by reviewing cash on hand. There was a 1.5% reduction in cash on hand for August over the prior month of July. The difference there, the reduction there was primarily the result of higher than anticipated reimbursements processed with the state of Washington for our tuition and other grant related charges. And that was reduced in part by lower than expected expenses in preparation for the beginning of school for fall. Overall, the reduction was, as I mentioned, 1.1% or around $800,000 in reduced cash. With regard to statement of operations, our revenue and expenditure report, I wanted to kind of just set the stage a little bit. Normally, the usefulness of comparing your statement of operations is by comparing the current month with the prior year's month, so August to August. The challenge is that we've had a number of kind of one-time events happen over the last several years that kind of impact that comparability. The first is COVID. We've been in kind of a COVID state for the last several years, which have distorted our results when compared with prior years. And even more recently now, the college has made a change in how we are accounting for and actually posting payroll transactions against the state appropriation. So long story short, that's an accounting practice change that causes a distortion in the current year's reporting compared to prior years. The way that will impact the way that should impact reporting through the rest of this fiscal year is lower than expected tuition-related revenue. But it will basically, by the end of the year, it will have netted out. So revenues in real terms will be the same. The timing will be different than is expected, than would be expected. That said, revenues for the month of August 2022 were $1.5 million less than was reported a year ago, August. And again, primarily the result of this accounting practice change. Down in the revenue section, there were a number of things there. As I mentioned, the impact of COVID and the fact that we're now kind of coming out of COVID and moving into more of a on-campus in-person mode, which has caused there to be increased expenses in some areas and reduced expenses in others. The long story short is that despite these changes, revenue for the month ending August is still, revenues are $1.36 million over expenses. So we are in the black by $1.6 million at the end of the month, which is good news. It's again, it is less than would have been expected based on prior years, but we're moving in the right direction. I'd be happy to try to answer any questions that you might have about this report or anything else that you might know. All right, thank you very much. The college recommends that the Board of Trustees accept the budget update for the month of August 2022 as an information item. Chair Miller.
Thank you so much. We do accept that. Thank you, Mr. Ellis.
Thank you.
additional SNAP budget allocations.
Madam Chair, we have Rosie Harper, that's going to be Director of Finance and Operations.
Hi, Rosie. Hello.
Madam Chair, Rosie had the PowerPoint presentation that was included in the board packet.
Oh.
She would like to kind of walk through that with you.
Sure.
So we can have the board to the front row here, we can drop the screen and project that.
That'd be great. We can do that for you.
All right, hello everyone. I'm Rosie Harper. I'm SGOC Director of Finance and Operations. I had so much fun last year that I had to come back for a second year. All right, so I'm here today to present an update to the 22-23 fiscal year SNA budget. I am asking the board for their approval of this budget proposal update for November. So today I will specifically be discussing how extra SNA funds have been identified and the benefits of allocating these funds now rather than at the end of the next fund request cycle. The benefits of allocating these extra funds include helping out programs that saw an average budget cut of 35% last year. Due to higher than expected enrollment and an increased number of students on campus, lots of more programs need funds for programming and such. So the bottom of the line is many programs that utilize SNA funds are scraping the bottom of the budgetary barrel. Next slide. So due to higher enrollment, extra funds have been identified for SNA. So the way that the SNA allocation works is that the business office gives the SNA budget hearing a allocation that is a conservative enrollment based on, or that is a conservative projection based on enrollment trends. As we all know, the college is very much into conservative budgeting. So in winter 2022, the business office set the 22-23 SNA allocation at $990,000. And then the way this is calculated is that it is a 10% estimation of the projected enrollment of tuition fees from enrollment. In this fall quarter, we found that the 990 was too conservative, and that the reality of the 10% of tuition fees was greater than $990,000. Next slide. So I received confirmation from Ron Ellison and Angela Hamilton as to how much we would be able to allocate if this request is approved. SGOC approved the budget for this fund request on our very first executive council meeting on September 28th. And Dr. Taga has also agreed with the way that the proposal will be spent on October 5th. So our next and final step is the board approving this in November. Next slide. So as you can see, this is a wonderful report that has been pivoted from the CTC link. It's a trial balance report. And if you look in the green square, it says that we had $1,452,000 in resident tuition. So if you deduct waivers, then you get $1,401,000, and then if you deduct $990,000 from that, you get $400. $11,850.19, which is the extra amount that we can allocate. And so that is the 411 on the $411,000 that we have. Next slide. So how much can programs that request SNA funds come to expect to receive if this is approved? Well, most will be fully funded, which is nice, but I say most. We had 3 budget scenarios that I went through when I started working on this in late August, when it was discovered that there was extra funds that could be allocated. As it got closer to the start of fall quarter, at first we thought there would be $300,000 extra, but then it got to 411. And so I went through multiple scenarios, and one of them included a sliding scale for the different programs based on how they scored with the committee last year during our deliberations. But at the end, we settled upon our first scenario in which everyone except the Early Learning Academy is fully funded for their requests. So if everyone, including the Early Learning Academy, were to be fully funded, it would be $474,000. Could you full screen in case it's kind of hard to see? So, could you scroll down? So yes, the total sum of everyone being fully funded is 474, which is $62,000 over 411. So that's, you have to deduct $62,000 from somewhere in order to get under $411,000. We decided to cut somewhere, and that is from the Early Learning Academy. Next slide, please. Tom, this slide is for you. I anticipate that you'd be asking this question. So I'm sure everyone is curious, why was the Early Learning Academy the only one who was not fully funded if this request were to be approved? So for fiscal year 22-23, the Early Learning Academy requested $358,000. That's 36.18% of the original 990 allocation. The SNA Budget Hearing Committee did not feel it was prudent to fully fund the Early Learning Academy for several reasons. One of the reasons was that the total number of students served was lower compared to that of other programs. Another reason was that a precedent was set in 21-22 that the Early Learning Academy can come to expect around $150,000 from the SNA process. But ultimately, the SNA Budget Hearing Committee felt that SGOC and SNA should not be the sole proprietor of the Early Learning Academy. The Early Learning Academy should be and is a college-wide effort. Next slide. There are 18 other programs that we also need to consider. And so we figured that it would be best to fully fund everyone else with smaller requests, and then the Early Learning Academy can receive what was left. So if this allocation request is approved, the Early Learning Academy will receive 82.64% of their original fund request, which is much better than receiving less than half, which is what they're at currently. So if approved, the Early Learning Academy would be receiving an extra $146,000. That is almost double their original award that was approved in the spring. This would add an extra $146,000 to the already allocated $150,000 that was approved in the spring. And I can very much assure the board that this $146,000 would go far in helping recruit more teachers. Lastly, I want to share some quotes with you all from those who oversee programs that heavily rely on SNA funds in order to have operational and viable programs at a college. Nadine Hayes from Tutoring says, "We are seeing a large increase in usage, primarily in-person tutoring services, and this funding would allow us to increase hours and the number of tutors. Additionally, the tutors could see a pay raise. This pay raise is needed to help recruiting more tutors and to stay competitive with other companies. Currently, a prospective tutor could work hourly at McDonald's and make more money, for example." Jody Collins from Multicultural says that if her program was fully funded for 22-23, Multicultural would be able to fund up to 30 students and 3 advisors to attend the annual Students of Color Conference at no cost to the students. Tatiana Simons says that if SVAOC is fully funded, the extra funds will provide funding for events, campus improvement projects, and educational endeavors such as lunch and earns that create college-wide impact. With that being said, on behalf of all SNA fund utilizing entities at Olympic College, it is my recommendation to the board that they approve this allocation request next. Any questions, comments? Yes, Tom?
As always, I admire your dedication to accuracy and decimal points.
Thank you.
One serious question. There's 440,000. This is for fall semester or fall quarter only, or is this a projection for the entire academic year? The surplus.
So the surplus based off of current FTEs.
Okay.
And the 990 allocation, if I believe it's based off of fall FTEs.
So we're expecting that the budget projects that that's going to stay consistent. We're not going to see a shortfall in subsequent quarters or potentially see a shortfall.
No, we have this money in the bank.
Okay. And I was lying about one question. Second question is did you use reserves from the student government to fund the existing balanced budget?
Yes, last year, when I presented to the board, SGOC supplemented $279,000 and some change to the SNA budget hearing process. So the total sum of the 22-23 SNA budget is $1.766 million.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Anyone else?
No, thank you. Great presentation.
Yeah, very good.
I always enjoy your presentation.
Thank you.
I have no doubt that every combination and permutation of spending those dollars is considered.
Yes. Down to the penny.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Rosie. Administration appointment letter policy change, Josh?
Good evening. So I get to come up twice today. For this one, as you know, 2 years ago, we went from administrative contracts to appointment letters. That change reduced the convenience payout from 6 months down to 2. What was to remain with appointment letters, but increase that payout up to 4. The reason for that's, several reasons, one of which administrators lack the job security such as tenure or property interest rights in their positions as other classifications the college see. An additional consideration is a lot of the administrative positions in higher education are specialized to higher education. So finding work once separated from this institution means they have to find another institution. For the most part, it's not they can find it at any other company or different cities. This provides some time for that. This payout is not for cause termination, so in cases of misconduct and things like that, this payout does not occur. Most often when we see this happen, it's because positions are either no longer needed, either because of technology or skill sets are required, with essentially the positions no longer needed. So for budget layoff purposes, this also does not apply. So there's a 30-day notice requirement for those. This is a simple convenience termination. Any questions? Thank you.
Number 5, information item reappointment of Bremer Trust trustee Joan Hatton. Adam?
Madam Chair, Board of Trustees, I was contacted recently by John Phil, Bremer Trust trustee, who requested that Joan Hatton be reappointed as a trustee to the Bremer Trust upon the conclusion of her term at the end of the year. As you may be aware, Joan was appointed to the Bremer Trust after Steve Rice retired to finish out the rest of his term. And when there's a change in Bremer Trust trustees, the OC Board of Trustees is allowed to either recommend their own replacement to the Bremer Trust or concur with their recommendation. As I said, the Bremer Trust will be making their decision at the end of the year, and the decision is theirs, but the board is able to make their own recommendation. So next month, we'll bring this forward as an action item where the board can either put forth a name to recommend to the Bremer Trust or concur with their recommendation. Any questions?
No, thank you, Adam. The next action item is the reappointment of off-cycle probationary tenure track academic employees for the 2022-2023. Martin?
Yes. Chair Miller, the tenure committee is recommended because of Cataluzzi, and I concur that they attach a list of probationary tenure track faculty.
Do we have a motion?
I move that we approve the reemployment of tenure track academic employees for 2022-23.
Is there a second?
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion or questions? Motion has been made and seconded to approve the reemployment of off-cycle probationary tenure track academic employees for the 2022-2023 action item as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstaining? Motion carries. Thank you, Mark. The next action item is the administrative sabbatical policy.
Pretty good.
You should just stay right there.
I know, I could have worked this better. So this is the policy that I presented last month to allow administrative sabbatical in RCWs. If there's any questions, it's up for vote.
Are there any questions before I ask for a motion? All right. Do I have a motion?
Move that we receive administrative sabbatical policy.
As presented. Is there a second?
I'll second.
A motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion or questions? A motion has been made and seconded to approve the administrative sabbatical policy action item as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next action item is transferring live award nominations.
Madam Chair, Board of Trustees, in your board packets tonight, you've received the applications for the ACT Transforming Lives Award. It's up to the Board of Trustees to select the student who will be nominated on behalf of Olympic College to the ACT organization. Happy to answer any questions. But it'll be up to the board to make a recommendation on which student.
How are we going to do this?
At this time, we take a nomination for one of the names presented to us.
I will nominate Richard Wilbur. Second.
A motion has been made and seconded. Are there any discussions? A motion has been made and seconded to nominate Richard Wilbur as the Olympic College Transforming Lives Award candidate. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, Richard.
I would just add these were all.
They were all really good applicants. I agree. Wish they allowed more than one.
Yes.
Our next action item is the election of the chair and vice chair of the Board of Trustees. Every October, the Olympic College Board of Trustees elects a chair and vice chair, each of whom serve a one-year term. The roles will be effective upon the conclusion of this meeting. We will now take action to elect the next chair of the Board of Trustees. Do we have a nomination?
I nominate trustee Tom Eckman as the chairman.
Also nominate trustee Harry Bryant as vice.
Thank you, trustee Coleman. I'm sorry.
I will second on the first nomination.
We have trustee Ekman nominated for the next chair of the Board of Trustees. Hearing, are there any other nominations for chair? Hearing none, a motion has been made and seconded. Are there any discussions? A motion has been made and seconded to elect trustee Tom Ekman as the next chair of the Board of Trustees. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, trustee Ekman. We will now take action to elect the next vice chair of the Board of Trustees. Trustee Coleman has nominated trustee Harriet Bryant as the next chair of the Board of Trustees. Are there any discussions or any other nominations? Is there a second? I believe trustee Ekman, you seconded. A motion has been made and seconded to elect trustee Harriet Bryant as the next vice chair of the Board of Trustees. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Motion carries. Congratulations, trustees Ekman and trustees Bryant, on your elections.
Thank you.
And I just want to say, as outgoing chair, it's been my pleasure to serve the chair position this last year. And I look forward to continuing to working with all of you as we move forward and working together for the best interest of the students in the college, supporting the new chair and vice chair. Thank you.
And I will lean heavily on your experience.
Oh, boy. Thank you. There is no executive session. Is there anything else for the good of the order? With no other items for the good of the order, this meeting is now adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the Olympic College Board meeting, October 18th. Hope that you found something fruitful from that. I may do a follow-up show and just kind of give you my thoughts. In the meantime, tomorrow is the city council meeting. So we hope that you will either attend in person or come on in Zoom, as they are talking about budgets tomorrow. So this is a really important time. There does appear to be a few $1 million in surplus. And so one of the things that we're looking at is asking the city to support those on ML King in regards to bathrooms and showers and just taking care of those very, very basic needs down there. So if you wouldn't mind, lending your voice to the unhoused down there, they will appreciate it. We will appreciate it. And so let's be good community neighbors. Again, I've got the link in the chat for you. And we will see you tomorrow at 12 p.m. for Tipping Points and Puzzle Pieces. Oh, I'm sorry, that's 1 p.m. for Tipping Points and Puzzle Pieces. We'll see you at 2 p.m. for the Kitsap Housing and Homeless Coalition meeting, and then in the evening for the City Council meeting. All right. So I am R1 Cameron. This is The Conduit. We will see you